Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Always Believer. We're here. We're back with another beautiful episode with another astonishing guest. Of course, as always, it is my true pleasure, my honor, my pure happiness to bring back this guest from season one, Courtney. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, I'm so excited. This is so fun. You know, I always like talking to you. So,
We can talk for hours without doubt. We have so many things in common.
Mhm.
You are the beautiful Courtney, the beautiful brave Courtney from the Beautiful Brave blog, basically.
Oh, I love that. That was like a little like tongue twister, but yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly where you're from. I mean, if you hear her story, because we did share your go to fly story all the way in season one, all the way at the beginning. I feel like you were my fifth guest, I want to say. I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure my
God.
fifth, which
That
that would have been February 2020, yeah. Pre-pandemic and all.
oh my goodness. Wow.
Right?
That feels like so long. I feel like we've lived so many lives between then and now.
Exactly. I completely agree. I loved hearing your story, so I'm always gonna like promote and like go like, hey, if you really want to hear her story, her go to fly story, which was about when you were living in Australia. I remember that. And all the hardships that you had to go through that and then some. Please go back and listen to that episode. Today's episode is more about what you're doing, what's your current, well, your job, your really beautiful blog, your what you're all about, your astrology, your like
Mm.
all the cool things basically of what you're up to.
There's been so many changes and evolution. So yeah, I'm super
Yes.
excited.
This is an interesting episode. I feel like also when you like talk to people, one who are very intuitive, much like you, of course, and spiritual and whatnot, and also pre and post pandemic. I mean, we've talked during it, so I mean, we've seen each other grow, of course. But when you sit down and like recording an episode like this, you're like, oh, it's been a while.
It has. And I think that's something that maybe a lot of people can relate to. Like, we, so much has happened between, if you think February 2020 to the date this is being recorded, it's May
Yeah.
now, May 2021. Like, so much has happened, so much has changed. We have changed, we've grown, and just lived life that we never thought we would live. So, yeah, it's wild.
What has been one of the many, many, many biggest changes?
Hmm. I left
Mhm.
my job.
That's actually a really good positive one though, because you actually left. It's not like they fired you or anything. You took matters to your own hands and you left your
I
job.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. So, um, yeah, I mean, it wasn't ever something like I never ever imagined I would be doing what I'm doing right now. And to be honest, like full transparency, like I feel like people look on like Instagram to people who have like social media or like have a podcast or whatever, and like, oh my God, they have it figured out. No, like I have no idea what I'm doing every single day. Like I'm basically just showing up and I am literally following my intuition. And one of the things over the past like year, I really felt pushed and like almost like pushed in towards my quote unquote calling more and more. And it doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't, but it feels wrong to not follow it. So I would rather follow it than not, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does. It definitely does, my love. We were just talking about this pre-recording as well. Kind of like, following your intuition, but also like setting those boundaries for yourself and making sure that you're okay first and foremost. And also that like we were also talking about algorithms, of course. And it's like, well, yeah, they're the algorithms XYZ, but if your heart is saying WZH, I don't know, like it's saying something completely different, then just like follow that lead basically, because what's going to come
100.
to you is going to come to you
Yeah.
directly.
100%. And I think that's so like, that's actually a good point is that all of us are kind of like, our eyes are open now. We're like seeing things different. Like we can't unsee everything. And our beliefs are being questioned, our values are, which is totally normal during any type of spiritual awakening. And this one happens to be one of the planet. And yeah, I think 2020 for me was a lot of like, okay, it's time to step more into that path of like your soul. And I just like don't want to do things that like suck my soul or drain it anymore. That feels hard and that doesn't feel like good. So I don't want to do that. So now I'm here.
So before we continue this beautiful conversation, can you tell our beautiful team flyer what is it that you do? What's your blog all about? What's your business all about?
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. First of all, can I just say too, when you were like always believer, I'm like, I just like love that. I know I've said that before, but always believer. Um,
Thank you so much. I It's a sentence I always said when I was little, always believe that there's always something better out there, to always have faith in something, that you're not alone, that there's a light, that there's always something, you know? Um that's what happens when you live maybe a kind of harsher childhood and teenagehood, that you're always kind of focused on like, okay, there has to be something better out there. And I didn't want to name it like always believe. I wanted the always believer because everyone is anyone and everyone can be
totally.
the always believer,
I
hence the
love
name.
that so much. I love it so much. I think that it's so beautiful. Also, that Scorpio rising just came out. Just a little side note there. But
I, I need to bring you more times. I'm like, yes, tell me more, Courtney, please. Give me all the goodies.
if anyone follows astrology, you probably would have known what I'm just talking about right there. But yeah, I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Yeah, so I am the creator behind Bravely Beautiful brand. It started as a blog. It was Bravely Beautiful blog. And I've been doing that for almost 3 years now. 2.5, yeah, almost 3 years. And it's evolved into becoming a business, which I never ever imagined it would become. I just had a ping from the universe, maybe intuition of like start writing a blog, and I'd never even really written before, like was never consecutive with my journals. And it just sort of became something that started to pour through me. And I was doing it as a way of like kind of opening myself up to speaking, using my voice, and also just having a creative outlet and expression. So I always just kind of did it. It was like a fun thing to do, go to cafes, write on my computer, like whatever. And throughout that, a lot of my story actually, started to come through, and then it helped other people along the way. And then from there, I slowly started to become more and more myself. Interesting thing when you use creativity as a support, it just really like, allows you to explore more of yourself. So in a roundabout way, now it's led to Bravely Beautiful brand, which is always evolving. But right now, I offer astrology sessions. I also have a few other offerings, like I talk a lot about mental health, emotions, vulnerability, and ultimately, like I just really want to empower people to be themselves. And I think that that's one of the things I love about astrology is that it does that because it's a literal map of why you came here. And so, yeah, that's something that I really am passionate about. So, yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite things to hear about, of course. First of all, of course, astrology and whatnot, but also the fact of like something that started out of your kind of passion project, out of you're saying that I'm healing myself,
Mm-hmm.
to a beautiful brand, to a beautiful business.
Mm-hmm.
And I adore that because you shared who you are. And I mean, I might see myself reflected in that, obviously, thanks to the Always Believer and the other projects that I do. But it is quite understandable to just see that glow and see like you're actually doing what you really want to do. And I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing that. I mean, it's just been like I said, like one, it almost feels like sometimes like I took that step, I took that inspired action to do that, and then it's just been like more of those steps that reveal themselves of like now it's like this thing next, and now it's this thing, and and it's always my choice. It's always our choice if we want to take them. But um, I'm very curious. That's one of the things about me. And I'm like, ooh, like what's on this? What's over here? And I want to explore that. So yeah.
That was one of my other questions or things or thoughts in my mind because I knew you were very curious, much
Mm.
like myself, of course. And I love that topic. I've hit that topic with a few of our guests already in Spanish, not so much in English because of, by chance and whatnot. So I was like, ooh, Courtney's the perfect one because I know how curious you are and
Oh
how
yeah.
important it is to question everything.
Oh, so curious. Literally my whole like I'm like, but my mom's always like, you were just always asking why. It's like, yeah, because that's something that, if you don't know something, or if you're, you know, maybe you feel something different or whatever, that's your intuition trying to tell you something. Now, I believe that, like, there's never one right way. Like, things are not always black and white. I think that there's room for curiosity and to see both sides of things if there are sides. Um, and I think it's an interesting place to be. It's an interesting place to kind of dance in. It's where you find, in my mind, like you can find little nuggets of wisdom that maybe you wouldn't have found if you were, just on one side of polarity or the other. Um, and yeah, it is. I'm so curious. I don't think I would have fully gone down the astrology route if I wasn't. So
For example, without a doubt, I mean, being curious and questioning everything. I mean, I've been like that since day one, and also going against kind of the social standard. I feel like you me talking about that a lot because like
Mhm.
we just want to go with the flow. that's that's
Yeah.
actually who we are, and like why do I have to stay at that 9 to 5 job, for example, if I can actually do something that I really really love and enjoy? So like having that curiosity, I feel like it's a really big um door opener, if that could be a word, but
100%. No, it's such a good that's such a good reflection, and you're right. It's like there's a really powerful shift obviously happening in our global collective. And I'll actually bring astrology into this little explanation. We have something called the North Node, which is in the direction that we want to go in, but it's often a little outside of like our own zone of comfort. And it asks us to do things that you know, aren't easy because it's not what we're used to. And as a globe, as a collective, our world, we have had the North Node in Gemini since I can't remember the exact date, but it happened, I think, beginning of 2020, and it's still there now. I think it stays for about 18 months. Um, and basically, what that means, Gemini is one of the most curious signs. So it's asking us to open our minds, to look around at different ways to approach things. And by no means is it easy to do that, because if it was easy, like we would all just do it, right? But it's not, because it hasn't been that way. So I think you're right. It does open new doors. It opens new things, and our, generations that are coming up, these Gen Zs, like millennials, like whatever, it's like they're, paving this path that is quite different than what's ever been lived before. And I personally see that as very powerful and very inspirational. Um, and I often am like, I just give like so much love and like just support to people who are choosing to courageously believe in themselves to go and do those things and follow their curiosity, because in a world that we've previously or do live in, it hasn't always been supported. So I find it very courageous. I just like rambled, but
it's all good, babe. um I simply adore that because I also see it. I've always worked with kids. I mean, currently, obviously not due to the situation, but just in general, I do have a younger sister-in-law who's 15, which whom we live with. There we go. We also live with my husband's cousin who just turned 18 as well. So there's still that kind of youth is still surrounded. Like I'm still surrounded by youth, better said, one way or another. And I love seeing like we said, the curiosity, but also like they're really brave. Like you said, they're like, well, I like girls, or I am this way and this is who I am and I'm body positive, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so reassuring to see
Mhm.
that. I love that we're finally making that shift. And even though it might not be immediate by any chance or by any way or whatever, it's still, we see it happening.
Mhm.
And I like how you said about the astrology, for example, the whole Gemini thing, that we have been curious because in the past 16 months,
Mhm.
to say at least, up to 18, which is kind of coming up since the pandemic started,
Yep.
um, we've all been changing. We've all been touched one way or another.
Yeah.
We've all got shaken up, stirred around, and we're like, whoa.
Mhm.
For good or bad, for anything else in between, we all like have gone through that collectively. So I feel like in the future, that's going to be a major shift.
Mm. Mhm.
We're already seeing it to some extent, technology wise, like work wise, at least. That's what I'm trying to say. So, work wise, of course, we're at home, working from home. So, like those big companies who are like, oh my God, you have like been renting a whole office and like, but our employees are still being really productive at home, then now we don't have to pay that rent and those employees can be home and no traffic, blah blah blah, for
Ex
example.
Yeah, that's a really good example. It's like, and having to really think in different ways, because the other element to this, if we're gonna bring in some astrology, because I'm, me, I love it. This whole idea of the Aquarius energy, it's asking us to really think outside the box and come from a place of like more of humanity at a whole. So how can we sustainably help the human population in, living whatever this quote unquote new normal is? And it's just about thinking differently, doing things in a different way. And it's not to say that like anyone's right or wrong, it's just getting curious. And that is like, when we get curious and when we open those doors and when we try to do those different things, like, oh, right, like they can work from home and my gosh, they're even more productive, or maybe someone's like, I actually don't really like working at home that much. They would never have known that before until they tried it. But that's the beauty of curiosity. It's you start to learn more about what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and how can that start to become something that's implemented as we move forward. So for me, I realized I'd never worked from home before until insert pandemic. And I came
Oh
home.
my God, I love that.
Yeah. I like
Pandemic.
yeah, I like to make up words because on Instagram, like, who knows, like if it's gonna get like censored or whatever. But anyway, so I make up little words.
A girl, I've been making up words since I was born, I swear. Every time, like I was saying before, the door opener. It's a door opener. You're like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about, Dan? I'm like, I have my own language. I come installed with my own language.
I
My
love
friends know.
yeah.
And my fathers are like, okay, well, let's hop on this train. Okay, let's sure.
Yeah, might as
Anyways,
well. Why not make up a new language? I love it.
pandemic.
So funny. So insert pandemic. Yeah. And I just was like, oh, like I'm working from home now. Wow. My anxiety decreased. My mental health was better, considering even what everything was going on. I just felt a safe, like my whole nervous system just went, oh, I can breathe. And obviously there was things in there, that were kind of going on that maybe like before the pandemic, I was having a schedule that was super full, that was go, go, go. We're living on autopilot, like, trying to do all the things. And I think on some level, we all got to see the effects of what that actually does to us. And now we were like, okay, well, we got to slow down. Like there's literally nothing to do. And there's a beauty in that.
There really is. Like, I completely and utterly agree. No one who I talk to, no matter what side of spirituality or what religion or what anything else that you believed in, we're all like, whoa. We went from I saw this meme the other day. I don't know if I remember it, but it was like, I can't believe I used to like wake up, take a shower, put my makeup on, put some heels, go get Starbucks, go through like security check, and I'll be 8:30 in the morning, kind of be at work, kind of sort of deal, you know? And then
Mhm.
on like the mom side or the parent side, I can't believe I used to wake up, get the kids ready, blah, 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 and I'll be 8:30, and then by 9 o'clock I was at work, you know? It's like, and then if I take that personally, because I've never been that kind of corporate person, no, I'm not a mom yet. Um, we did so many things in a day.
Mm.
They're like, this feels really great to finally slow down and understand what I really wanted to do and I really did not want to do, because also we tended, I did less and less, to be honest. I started doing this in my late 20s, so I want to say about like 5 years ago. Excuse our dog in the background, the sounds of life. uh I coined that with Brianna Morgan. She's on a show as well, and there was our dogs, hers and mine, in the background are like the sounds of life.
I love it.
And I think she had like a like construction happening next to her house that episode. She's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, well, you know, we're all living at home. We're all working from home.
Yeah,
It's, you know,
we're used to it by now. Yeah.
exactly. I feel like at this point, all right. Anyways, I started doing this about like 5 years ago, I want to say, and I want to make sure that that let me go back to my train of thought because the dog was a little bit distracting, but it's calmer now. So, um, to only do things, to only go to activities that I really wanted to do, and also to make plans not that far in advance because I don't know what my mood was going to be that day, nor where my energy was going to be like where it was going to, you know, headspace wise. So, luckily enough, I started doing this before the pandemic, and I feel like through the pandemic, even like it slowed me down even more. You know me, Courtney, quite well. You know I love to work. I'm an Aries on Scorpio. So I adore working. I love pursuing a career that makes me really happy. So I was working a whole lot. I did work a whole lot throughout 2020. And then that was my change of pace. It wasn't more of like a social setting, even though like we couldn't go out, of course. I feel like for the rest of the world was a little bit more like that, probably because we were like go go go, whereas I was already on that path and I'm still going to be on that path because I feel like I need to value my energy and my priorities and my boundaries more than anything. And same
Totally.
goes for work. So my 2 cents in the whole conversation would be like, I it happened more late last year, early this year. It's happening more now, I want to say, that I'm taking, not I want to say a bigger pause with work, but way more boundaries with work and be like, girl, if you really don't have the energy, if you don't have the space of like a calm house all the time, for example, to record 100 episodes, even though you have those 100 guests, dude, just do 30, just do
Mhm.
40, do whatever feels right for you. That's just one example out of
Mhm.
many, many, many.
Love that. That's such everything you just said is such a good point. And I think that's, I hope that whoever's listening to this, if that's like a permission slip that you needed to hear, like use it because as the world kind of goes back, things start to open and which we're seeing and all this stuff, it's um easy to go back to old ways that are comfortable, which you know, it's natural to do that. It's natural to want to go back to like, okay, well, I got to do everything right now. I got to fill my day. And that's because it's been so ingrained in us for so long that that's how we operate. But at the same point, it's like we've learned so much that now we know there's a different way that we can live. We just need to integrate them because obviously we can't, stay home every single day for the rest of our life. Like that's not realistic either.
Exactly. Like, even though it felt like, oh my God, we're never going to get out. And I know some countries still feel it. I know that for a fact.
Mhm.
Um, we're eventually going to get out. We're eventually, I mean, we're getting vaccinated. We're going back to normal little by little. So,
Yeah, you guys are doing good over
yeah.
there.
Well,
We
well,
won't
with the
touch
vaccination,
Canada.
yes. Exactly. You guys are really still in lockdown. And I know part of
Yeah.
Europe still is. So, like, I know it feels forever. And part of it, I think if you're spiritual or intuitive enough, you're like, maybe this is what we need. Even though it really is so annoying not to go out, and especially coming from me that I love being outside, going from hiking to wine tasting, just to
Yeah.
being.
Mhm.
Um, maybe that we need to extra pause a little bit more to look more inward, I feel like, because even
Mm.
here I already see the patterns of like people who are able to go out have been going out and filling their days, and I'm like, is that really what you want to do? Is that really something that like is going to
Did you
fulfill you at the end of the day, just to say like, oh, because I went to this place?
mm.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
learn your lesson? It's like,
Exactly, there you go, that's a good, there you go, that's the question, did you learn your lesson?
yeah, and, that can come off harsh sometimes. I mean, all of us, like, we're faced with our own stuff, like, being alone in your own and I'd actually really like to talk about mental health, obviously, because that's something that I'm, super passionate about, but
Both of us, babe, both of us.
yeah, both of us, yes. I It's really tough to be faced with our own stuff, to be in your own space sometimes, and to be or even just around other people for that long, things come up. And oftentimes what happens is when we're, you know, kind of forced into a situation we don't want to be in or whatever the case may be, and these things come up, it is part of a healing journey that like we don't understand until probably years down the road. And that's quite honestly probably what's going to happen. It's going to years from now, 7 years from now, maybe even 2 years from now, we'll be like, wow, like, okay, hindsight actually is 2020. I am so lame for saying that, but like that is legit probably going to be a thing. And that might sound super hopeful, and I do hope that that is kind of what does happen, but just knowing that there are emotions and feelings that you have probably been feeling, I've been feeling that I've never felt before until the last year. And then so just as you just said, like we need to implement like boundaries. We need to implement what do we actually want to be doing, and how can we like, put our time in those places, because that is going to support our own mental health. That's going to support our own journey. And, also like the people in our lives that we're around, like if they support that, then that says so much about that friendship or relationship, versus like maybe there's some that don't really understand, hey, I need to like take a step back right now, like my mental health isn't in the best place. And if they don't respond to that with like what you need, then that gives you information as well. So
Exactly. I
mhm,
love that little tidbit as well, because a lot of, we haven't talked about this in a long time, either not only through here through the Always Believer, but just in general, I feel like, because it was talked about more a little bit at the beginning of the year. And it was all about all the friendships that actually did come out through, because not only friendships as in like friends, but it could also be any kind of relationships in
mhm,
general. People who really wanted to be there will be there. And then you saw a lot of like true colors. And I feel like that was actually something magical, because you're living more your truth, and and that
uh,
is something and that is something that we all need, because no matter who you are in this world, wherever you think, if you think left is correct or right is correct or whatever it is, somewhere in between, you
mhm,
deserve to have kind people in your life, and you deserve to have powerful friendships, and the meaningful kind. And I feel like, at least for me as well, and I know many people agree, that's something that came out also of 2020, that you realized, okay, I see who's got me. And if you didn't, then that's fine. That's your path to live. That is where you need to be. This is where I need to be. I probably did the same thing to somebody else by accident, and here we are.
mhm.
But at the same time, like, that's so nice that we did like kind of we kind of this reminded me of when you shake the rug. You know how you sweep everything under the rug, supposedly? We literally just shook the gosh darn rug out the window.
Oh my gosh. You just literally, that's Pluto. Pluto is happening in the sky. This is what Pluto's job was, to rip the carpet up. And that's what Pluto's been doing. So you nailed it on the head.
That got me so excited.
Love
Oh
it.
my goodness. I adore these conversations, and I'm so always so thrilled to have you on, especially like once I get the beginning of the episode. I loved hearing your story. I love Go to Fly and our movement, of course. but now that I have you back on, it's like these kind of, conversations that I've always wanted to have with people, apart from sharing their story, of course. So I just like, this is so much fun.
The conscious convos. This is another thing that I think has like really come up over the past, right? It's like we look, I love a deep conversation. I have a moon in Scorpio. My Mercury, if anyone knows what this means, is in Aquarius. So I think and communicate quite differently. But I love that. And I think that's something that a lot of people now are, they're talking about. They're having these deeper conversations with friends, whether that be in real life or on the phone. And to me, I think it's so beautiful. It's vulnerable, it's brave. And that is
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just like cheering every single person on who's, who's doing it, who's living right now and just,
Who's actually living,
yeah.
who's actually taking the steps to talk about these things. There's so many amazing books that came out of this year. There's so many
Right?
podcasts. I'm not even saying mine, I'm saying in general. I feel like a whole bunch just popped up and
So,
talking about that vulnerability.
mhm.
I'm not going to give you a long list of books. I feel like I feel like I'm going to turn my personal Instagram into a bookstagram or something other, because I adore reading and I get asked that all the time as well. And I'm like, I have the Goodreads link as well. I'm like, hey, this is what I've been reading. But a lot of the times I'm so delayed that of like I don't put them right away. So all of a sudden you see like 10 books were added at the same time. But one of the books I'm definitely going to mention without a doubt, it's actually an eye opener also for men, and it's called Man Enough by Justin Baldoni. Um, there she goes. There she go, Courtney, to write it down.
I gotta write it down.
You
I'm like,
do, and you have to. Give me a
is it
second, people. And no, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. My mic, there goes my everything.
is it
It's
on
called,
Audible?
it's on
Oh,
Audible. Oh my God. It's on Audible, Courtney, and like Team Flyer, I swear. And it's narrated by him. If you don't know Justin Baldoni, go run. Run to Justin Baldoni. So
okay.
yeah, so it's called Man Enough, Undefined Masculinity. Masculinity, if I can say that correctly.
I'm into it.
I'm showing her the book as we speak. I got a first signed copy because I'm that obsessed with him. I know, right?
Oh my God.
And it just came out on April 27th. He's doing a lot of IG lives. I think he does them for like a month and so what. Inspired like by Glennon Doyle, by like Oprah, by like all these beautiful, amazing people. And he talks about his journey as a man and being vulnerable.
Mm,
Obviously, it's directed for both, obviously, but the fact that I love the fact that I love that finally someone like him who's already all about spirituality and all about he has a girl and then he has a younger boy. His relationship with his wife is just freaking amazing. He's coming out and saying we have feelings too and this is what we feel.
if you
Exactly.
guys can
Courtney's here is
see me
like
right
having
now,
a
I'm like,
party.
yeah.
Courtney's having a party for Justin Baldoni. You might know him if you all are Jane the Virgin fans, which you might be. Courtney might be. It's a TV show. It's a soap opera, telenovela, but in English. It's Jane the Virgin. It's a really good show. It's on Netflix. The whole 5, 6 seasons of it, I want to say, finished last year, 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, 2019. Anyways, he's Raphael. He's like the main character. He's one of the main characters in the show. So he's also an actor, and he's a really good actor at that. But his life journey, his life path is stuff like this book. And that was like the biggest one I wanted to like show, because any woman listening who wants to start this communication with their partner, their son, their father, their boss, their nephew, I feel like it's a perfect, you know, door opener, like the word I said earlier today.
Oh,
you know?
full circle. I love that. Oh, I can't wait to listen to it.
Oh, it's narrated by him, and I swear, and I cried so much. I don't use Audible, but I heard a lot of his Instagrams, his IG live, sorry, and his interviews. And he said the thank yous. He's like, I really want to make sure that the thank yous are included in the Audible, because sometimes they're not, because they're not part of the story. He's like, I was full on crying saying all these thank you to all these people. And there's a few chapters that he's like, you can tell that I was crying because I put my whole heart to it. And I'm like, I love you so much. It's like
Mm,
we need people like you. We do.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I already am like, yeah, I was like cheering, putting my hands up in the air because
Completely and utterly.
it's just
There you
uh, yeah, it's just that's so amazing. So I can't wait. I can't wait to hear more about it.
go. So, as we wrap up, basically, we do one thing and another. I do want to come back to talk to you about astrology, of course, one more time.
Of course.
I slash we, my husband who's not right here, not with us right now at this moment, um, we had the beautiful, wonderful pleasure, gift of the universe, magic in the making kind of moment with you for both our birthdays, for him in March and me in April. We had our astro birth chart. There you go.
Yeah.
Read by you, and we just fell in love with you even more. I mean, we've been friends already for over a year, so it's not like um something we did right off the bat by any means, but still, like within the journey, within the ride, I'm like, I want to give this to him. It's his big birthday. He really believes in this, so that's what I did. And the
Mhm.
first person that came to mind was you. And then
Oh,
for my birthday, we did the same. I
yeah.
loved your readings. I was there for his, and he was there for mine as well, because you're able to do that, and I love that as well.
Of course.
We were together in this. We were so inspired. You were so spot on
Mhm.
with literally everything. I love, 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 love. Well, everything. And then the three things that like just come to my mind. One, how easy you explain, like how good you explain things for people to understand. Because me and my husband were in different spiritual levels, because I know a little bit more and he's just learning. But the fact that you were able to like adapt and make sure like we both understood is like for me super, super number one.
Mhm.
Two, that you recorded it. So you send it back to us, and the fact that we're able to sit down, because that's exactly what we did. We took our notes, we have it. I'm currently working on it. By the time the episode comes out, I should be done with it. I did like this chart thingy. It's kind of hard to explain, but with everything that you've said, I put it in a way so I can know my next step slash like where my motivation is. Plus I read. Did you say that you're so proud?
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my god.
Yay.
Live reactions, Steam Flower, live reactions, because I didn't tell her this. And I did my own personal tarot reading for like the next few months ish. Like I didn't really have like my staple there.
Mhm.
So I'm making this like chart. So next to my vision board, I want to put it on our wall. Essentially speaking, that's exactly what I'm in the midst of doing little by little. Because much like I said before, I definitely don't want to rush things.
Mhm.
So the fact that you recorded it and you sent it to us is amazing. And last and definitely not least, the card. You pull out a card for us. And if you know me, go follow me at the idea that I don't know, please. Because I do a lot of oracles, I do tarot, I do like those daily kind of cards. I do motivational cards as well, or inspirational cards, whatever you want to call them. So that whole aspect of it, like that added layer
Mhm.
of intuition, is
Mhm.
is a plus. So I will always recommend you, and I stand by what I say. Like I always want to recommend people and products that I
Mhm.
truly believe in.
Always believe.
Exactly. That I always believe in. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're definitely one of them. So I definitely wanted to let our audience know, obviously, and for you to tell us a little bit more specifically, because I know you'd also you do kids charts as well, and you do moon stuff. So
Yeah.
can you please tell us a little bit more specifically, so people are like, let's go run together.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you for all those kind words. Honestly, I'm so proud of you for like taking astrology and using it that way and like bringing your own little mix into it. Like I say to everyone, those recordings, like really good to come back to because there's medicine in that. You might hear something else another time when you're like, oh, wow. Okay. Like, this fits for me now. So I'm glad to hear that reflection. Yeah, so I have different readings, obviously, over on Bravely Beautiful brand. And the main one is the basics, which is what you guys had. That's a birth chart reading. So we go into your own personal planets. This is how we start to learn about our chart in astrology and how to work with our own energy. So that would be really good for someone who maybe has never, had their chart read before and they're just kind of curious, like, what's going on. Full moon readings happen, and new moon readings. People can book them around the times of the new and full moon. And those are a really good time. I kind of walk you through of more of a like supportive session of like, okay, what are we releasing? What are we calling in? There's a little bit more of like a kind of like a one-on-one mentoring session that kind of goes in there. But we also look at your astrology and how it's kind of the moon's affecting you. I also do the kids charts, which is like, I really am hoping that that's something that kind of starts to come up more, especially as, millennials start to have babies and they're like, oh, I want to know about my kids chart, because there's so much power in learning what your, child or whoever, what energy they have and how we can support them in being their best self through their own, soul's map. So that's a little bit about that. There's a few other ones up there, that I honestly can't even think of at the top of my head right now. But those are like the basic ones that I work through. Oh, you can also do like a monthly one. Let's say you just wanted to come in and say, Court, like, what is going on this month? Like, how can like, how can I use this to support me in the month ahead? And then, yeah, we just kind of like work through the transits. Hope that made sense.
It did. I love that whole bunch. I mean, we're gonna obviously in the future be able to get more into it if you come back, and I'm sure if like Team Flower has more questions, of course. If any case, your DMs are always open to say, "Hey, our
See,
deal now is believer."
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You were also very sweet enough to give us a discount. That's right. So you have a 10% discount, and if I remember correctly, I'll definitely put it down below. It's always believer 10.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure you did
That
always
sounds
believer
right.
10.
Yeah, there you
And 10% discount definitely all season long,
go.
and super thankful for that. That definitely, it's out of the goodness of your heart, because we were friends first, then clients. We were like, once again, I really want to promote and support people that I love.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh goodness, I
I,
love talking to you.
I love talking to you. And just, one of the reasons why I wanted to do that as well is like, I know, again, like people are going through lots of different emotions and like awakenings right now. And, there's lots of different ways that you can kind of start to play, whether it be tarot, whether being getting a coach. But if astrology does call to you and you're unsure of it, then like that's why I wanted to offer that there, because it's like, I know it's a new concept, it's something that's different. So we can kind of start to slowly learn more about it. Then that's why I'm here. I'm just here to be a star in the tarot. That's the Aquarius card. And
Of course.
just shine the light. Yeah.
Yes, and you shine the light quite well. It's true though. Like when I'm doing this chart, and I'm doing, like I said, slowly and surely, because I don't want to, because I want to take the information in slowly and surely.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to rush anything and be like overwhelmed, not overwhelmed. I was
Totally.
like over, excited, not overexcited either. But you know what I mean? Like just a bunch of information and like not getting all of it. I'm like, no, let me do it by sections, because that's the way I work better.
Mhm.
And since I've seen the video, since I've seen that all so much, it's like you definitely shine that light, because it has helped me so much. And the fact that my card also lined up with it, I'm like, yes.
Boom. Yeah. Love it.
So
Love it.
definitely, 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 she's the intuition queen,
Mm.
Miss Courtney. Um, Alrighty then. So my last questions, as always, same ones, because I love, love, love sharing these little tidbits of my guest here. They always believer. 3 words to describe you.
Ooh, what would I say this time around? I think last time I said something along the lines of brave, vulnerable, and I don't know what the other one was. I would definitely say brave. That's gonna stick with me. Um, Passionate has been something else that's, beamed from me. Brave, passionate, and I would also maybe say a big heart. I have a very big heart.
Indeed you do, Courtney.
Yeah.
Indeed you do. I can vouch for that. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
What are you thankful for?
Ooh. I'm really thankful for space. Having space to learn and to grow and to also find who I am and then, be supported in being that version or that person. So, yeah.
That's so sweet. I love
Mhm.
that answer.
The support I feel from community, and you probably get this too, but
Mm,
it feels really, really, really good. I'm always so grateful for that.
same goes every single day and every single moment. I read it on my personal IG a whole lot. I write it as much as I can on the Always Believer, just in general. And if not, my stories definitely reflect that without a doubt. If you follow the Always Believer, that's a win in my books. And if you want to know more about me and my Insta stories and whatnot, of course, that's like my own personal one, de Ariadna Redondo.
And
Um,
TikTok,
the what?
and TikTok.
And
Yeah,
TikTok.
I love your TikTok.
You do. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm very creative. I love being creative and I love doing a lot more TikToks.
Mhm.
I just, in the future, as soon as I feel like I'm done recording and a little bit away from IG social media, maybe I can move towards like making more content. Cause I do have fun. For me, TikTok is like loads of fun. It always has been. So
Mhm.
thank you for that. And it's a lot about, like we said, mental health and body positive and just being your own darn self.
All of the best things, all the best things.
I
Love
also
it.
love your TikToks though, because you're very, very yourself. I mean, you're always yourself. So like the TikToks, you're just like dancing and like
Asking questions, just
exactly.
myself.
Oh, and then what you have. Okay, sorry. Oh my God, Team Flyer. I swear, one more thing with Courtney because your feed is on fire. I
Oh,
adore your feed. I mean, that's my creative hat on, I guess, my business side of things on, maybe. I don't know. But it's so pretty. It's like it draws you in, and it's like such a cute pattern. And the way I swear, Team Flyer, the way she explains things, like, oh my God.
thank
Like,
you. That means so much. Yeah, it is a creative outlet for sure, and I love it. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for noticing, because
yes.
there's a lot of work that goes into that. So thank.
There is a lot of work, and I can totally see it because it's just a pattern, how you write it, and then like the videos that you put either on TikTok, but also like the IG reels that you talk about literally everything, but you also talk about like Scorpio and Aries and Gemini and Taurus, like what to expect, and then
Yeah,
stuff like
I'm
that.
on
And then
that.
every time there's a full moon, new moon, there's something going on. There's Mercury retrograde or a Saturn or something. It's like, dude,
The planet.
Courtney has got you.
Like literally, think about it. Literally, I just said I'm thankful for space. Okay, I meant like metaphorical, like the actual space in life, but like space is always moving, which means I always got something to say.
Exactly. So yeah, your feet. I swear. Yes, yes, yes.
Really,
On yes.
oh,
Oh
love
my
you. That
gosh.
means so much.
Of course, my love. Give credit where credit's due. You gotta like prep. You gotta like pump people up. Like you gotta like cheer your friends up.
Yeah,
Like cheer well up, of course, but like on like you know what I mean. Like
love it.
celebrate their wins.
Totally. And I appreciate that so much. We got to be hype people for our
There
people.
you go. That's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
So literally the last question, which is usually the best question, of course.
Mhm.
Where can we find you?
Ooh, definitely on Instagrams. Bravely Beautiful Brand is my little business baby. I'm also on YouTube, which is slowly growing, but I am talking more about longer videos on astrology over there. Also, just like my life. But that's at Court Burns on YouTube. And I guess TikTok a little bit. So
TikTok a little bit a lot, yes. He
yeah, yeah,
posts quite
yeah.
a bit on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are the main places. So, yeah.
Definitely. We'll definitely tag you down below with Bravely Beautiful Brand.
Amazing.
And your I am Court Burns. I think that's your
Oh, my
personal
personal
IG.
account. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And whatnot, where to find you. Thank you so much for being with us today and being
Thank
back
you.
on The Always Believer. I absolutely adore talking to you, and I hope we were door openers too,
The
right?
door is open into the abyss. Come and join.
Exactly, with this
Yeah,
conversation we had and all the
right?
sounds of life in between. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
I
As for
love
us, my beautiful team flyer, come follow through, come follow us, go get that discount because Courtney is your bae, is your number one intuition bae, basically. You just
our
gotta
spiritual
go.
support sister. That's
There
my
you
name.
go.
I'm my spiritual support sister. Yeah.
I love it. And we're back, of course, next week with every Monday and Wednesday new episodes, both in English and in Spanish, because you know me. And if anything, you know where I'm at, and also my personal IG. So let's do this. See y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.